How do we get tree-hugging liberals like Al Gore to unite with conservative climate skeptics like Sarah Palin?
I wanna be a billionaire so freaking bad. Buy all of the things I never had.
Show them the money. Across many sectors of the economy, companies and cities are showing they can be more profitable by going low carbon. These include energy efficiency and renewables, building, transportation, and much more. And you'd be quite surprised who some of these emerging leaders actually are. Not too many people would consider Walmart the epicenter of tree-hugging politics, yet they are embarking on an ambitious initiative to significantly increase their energy efficiency by 30% in their stores and increase their vehicle fleet efficiency. Combined, they expect this to help save them $300 million a year by 2015. By 2015, it is expected that more than $60 billion a year will be generated in energy efficiency solutions. Imagine if entire cities or even entire countries were able to switch from fossil fuels to renewables and do so at a profit. Samso Island, a 2-hour ferry ride off the coast of Denmark, has a population of only 4,300. It's famous for its potatoes and its beaches. It's also one of the first modern communities to be powered 100% by renewable energy. Samso harnessed their plentiful wind, selling shares in their turbines to local islanders, so the machines produce local power and local profits. Locally grown straw, fed into central boilers, produce super hot water that's pumped through the underground pipes to provide carbon-neutral heat for homes. Samso Island, now titled Denmark's Renewable Energy Island, has been so successful and has so much additional energy capacity it actually sells its excess supply back to mainland Denmark. Not to be outdone, a Scandinavian neighbor, Sweden, is one of the first countries in the world to aggressively target achieving fossil fuel-free status by 2020 through the use of energy efficiency, biofuels, and renewables. The renewable market opportunity is huge. Clean energy markets are poised to quadruple in the next decade, expected to grow from about $55 billion in revenues in 2006 to over $220 billion by 2016. Now that's a climate capitalist opportunity. What if buildings could generate more energy and water than they actually consume, generating additional revenues for the building or homeowner? This is actually happening today. For example, this home in Victoria on Vancouver Island is part of the Living Building Challenge. Actually generates more water on site from all the rain Vancouver Island gets than it actually consumes. It also generates significant energy on site and occasionally can be fed back to the grid. Climate capitalist opportunities abound in the green buildings marketplace. As you can see, by 2010, the green building marketplace in the U.S. was expected to be approximately $60 billion. That includes residential and commercial construction, as well as all of the other service providers and technical providers of products that meet the growing green building demand. The transportation sector is a big contributor of greenhouse gases and also a major cost driver in many industries. What if cities or countries could actually transform themselves away from fossil fuels and do so at a profit? Shai Agassi, the founder of Better Place, had a vision inspired by a profound question posed at the World Economic Forum in 2005. How do you make the world a better place by 2020? He actually founded Better Place in 2007, raised $700 million in less than 1 year for Better Place. Additionally, he recently raised another $350 million, valuing Better Place at over $1 billion. Better Place's innovative approach to providing all the infrastructure required to transition to electric vehicles is already being tested in Australia, China, Denmark, Israel, Japan, and North America. Many profitable business opportunities beyond electric vehicles exist to help transform how we get around and move things. That includes high-speed rail, electric bikes, algae fuels for airplanes, and new rapid bus transit systems. As you can see, the expected growth of hybrid and electric vehicles throughout the world is pretty significant. Additionally, you find regions of the world like Brazil that have gone almost completely away from gas vehicles. What if most of the food we actually ate was really healthy for us and was produced within 100 miles of where we lived, at a profit for local producers? Climate capitalists around the world are getting on the local food bandwagon, from organics in countries like Cuba, vertical farms, and to innovative local transportation systems to deliver organics to the home. Many of us living in North America probably assume we're the world leaders in organics, but that's far from the truth. As you can see, organics have been big around the world for a long time. But in the US alone, we've seen massive growth in revenues, up to over $25 billion a year in sales of organic food. What if hundreds of billions of dollars, and in the future trillions of dollars, could actually be made by helping communities, small, medium-sized companies, and large corporations reduce their carbon footprint? My company, CO2 Impact, is developing carbon reduction projects, including many in Latin America. On the left is a gasification project underway that will result in a 60% reduction in fuel costs for brick makers in Brazil, while reducing emissions and illegal deforestation of the Amazon. On the right, we've begun to engage with coal mining clients in Colombia to help them capture their methane, which reduces not only their emissions but also their risk of explosion, while also providing them access to the gas for on-site energy. I must admit there has been a slowdown in the carbon markets since the US abandoned plans for a federal cap and trade, and the European market is waiting for a post-2012 regime. However, most experts believe there will be a vibrant market in the US via regional markets like the Western Climate Initiative and around the world after 2012. While this topic may be a bit controversial among some left-leaning climate change activists, climate change adaptation is also going to be a big business opportunity. Adaptation is going to be important because, as you can see from around the world, from Russian heat waves to floods in Pakistan to exacerbated hurricane damage in Hurricane Katrina to melting glaciers in Bolivia, the world is already facing challenges associated with climate change. What climate capitalists already know, however, is that where there are problems, there are business opportunities. Take, for example, individual or community-based solar water filtration systems to create potable water, or, for example, barrier technologies to protect low-lying areas from rising sea levels. I'm sure many of the tree huggers watching this presentation are still not convinced, asking themselves, isn't capitalism what got us into this mess to begin with? And it would be hard to argue with that objection. However, in my humble opinion, climate capitalism coupled with courageous politicians and demanding consumers is actually the only way to economic prosperity. So do you actually think we're alone in seeing climate change as a real business opportunity? Think again. Apple, PG&E, and Nike are among a few of the companies that walked out of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce specifically for their failure to act on climate change and instead lobby against action. Look at the number of companies that have voluntarily reported to the Carbon Disclosure Project over the last several years. The map on the bottom right is symbols of companies in the United States that are building technologies to focus on climate change adaptation. We are not alone. Sure, you could change your light bulbs or turn off your lights for Earth Hour, but how are you actually going to move the needle and do so at a profit? If you've enjoyed this presentation, then you might be interested in our new book, Climate Capitalism, which I wrote with Hunter Lovins. It'll be in stores on April 12th. We've been humbled by the praise we've received from luminaries such as Ray Anderson, Jigar Shah, the CEO of Richard Branson's Carbon War Room, the Financial Times, and Vancouver's Mayor Gregor Robertson. Thank you for listening.